Kind of wanted to go over some of my experience with the 6mm Creedmoor 108 grain ELD-M Match ammunition from Hornady. It's got a claimed muzzle velocity of 2960. I don't have a chrono yet. I plan on getting a magneto speed to use, so that when I start working up some of my own loads, I'll have some information to back that up. But this ammunition seems to be working out really well in my rifle. For box ammo, it's working out pretty good. I've done another video trying to explain, I explained some of my first shots and everything, and a lot of the first shots on here were individual shots. I would take a shot, clean the barrel, take a shot, clean the barrel. That's what a lot of these two here are. Actually, that's what all of these two are. And then I think I was trying to get, I backed it up to 100 yards and was I was trying to get the scope dialed in to 0. And this is also cold shooter. I'm very novice to the long range precision world. I've hunted most of my life. But as far as like long range shooting goes, about the longest shot I've taken is probably 300 to 320 yards in that area with a 30-06, and that was just one shot a deer. So I'm about as entry level as you can get on the long range and precision world. I know what's going on, but as far as actual hands-on sending bullets downrange, pretty new. So this is actually the first grouping that I've done ever. I've done some, sighting some rifles in and checking to make sure that they're still sighted in with my dad and everything over the years. But as far as like sitting down and actually grouping on paper to see what the rifle groups at, I've never in my life. So it's kind of interesting to get into. I enjoy it so far. Anyway, getting through all that, this I think was my first 3-shot group at 100, and during the other video that I did, just by looking at it and guesstimating, I was guesstimating it to be about 3/4 of an inch, but it's actually better than that. It's a 5/8 inch group at 100. This group here, actually, this is 3 shots, and this is 1 shot one day and 2 shots the following day. And it's kind of hard to see here, but that's actually 3 shots in about 3/16 of an inch, and that's at 50 yards though. So that would kind of loosely, not directly, but that would kind of loosely translate into a 3/8 inch group at 100. So I thought that was pretty good. This one here, like I said, I was just trying to get the scope sighted in, and it's cold shooter, so don't take this one over here to heart. This is my first 5-shot group with this rifle and ammo. This was the first 5 shots without cleaning between rounds, and I wrote down 7/8 of an inch group, but if you could look, it's actually, if I can get lined up here, it's actually closer to 13/16 than it is 7/8, but it's kind of between the two, so I just wrote 7/8 down. That's a pretty good 5-shot group, I thought. I should have marked which ones were, first shots. I really don't remember. This has been about 3 weeks ago, and I'm just now getting time to go over this information and kind of measure everything out and see what happened. So after that, my helper and I, we decided we were going to take turns shooting for groups. So we started on the left over here. This was my targets, and this was his targets. I would take 3 shots. We'd go down, look at the target, and then he would take 3 shots, and then we'd come down and check it out, and then I would take 3 and he would take 3. So this was after trying to get the barrel broke in. So I was doing some shooting clean, trying to get the barrel broke in, trying to get the rifle to shoot as accurate for as long as I possibly can. So my first group ended up being 9/16 of an inch. See if I can do this with one hand and on camera. All right, here we go. So there's my first group, 9/16 of an inch. His first group ended up going in 2 11/16 of an inch. He was flinching quite a bit, way more than what he needed to, anticipating the recoil. This rifle seems to have quite a bit of muzzle rise versus actual felt recoil is almost none. But the gun jumps quite a bit. It rises quite a bit. like I said, versus the felt recoil, which is almost none. So I think he was anticipating that, and so I kind of gave him some pointers, you know, coming on down and trying to get him to calm down between shots and everything. So this second group, if I can get this tape, second group came out to be a 1/2 inch group at 100. His second group was 1.5 inches, and then my final group turned out to be, sorry about all the camera work and the lighting. I actually tried doing this video under my workbench, and the light is so bright under my workbench that I was getting some really crazy looking lines in the video, so couldn't do it over there. So sorry about the lighting in this video, but this is 3/8 of an inch group at 100. This was my final group, and then his final group, he actually shot. He was closing it up. He got a 7/8 inch group. If I can get this on there, there we go. So it's about a 7/8 inch group. So we were both calming down and getting used to the rifle, getting settled in, and kind of getting used to how much the rifle was going to recoil. And you know, we also were shooting off of a wooden crate that I had set up using some of my Caldwell sandbags, which are not the greatest, but they work. So if I was to put an actual sturdy bench under it and some better bags, I'm pretty sure I could close these groups down. Plus, as I said before, I'm pretty novice to precision shooting, so a more experienced shooter could also close these groups up. But you know, this one here, this was one shot one day, and the following 2 shots were the next day at 50 yards. Left the bench and left the target set up where it was at. This was at 50 yards, so that kind of loosely translates into 3/8 of an inch. And like I said, this one here closed up to 3/8 of an inch. But after this, we had to go. We were actually having to leave to go to work, so we had to just kind of walk away from it without really doing any, you know, measuring or anything like that. I think I did measure the smallest group just to see what it was at, because I knew it was pretty tight. But I'm shooting out of a Savage Model 10T-SR and using the Hornady 108 grain box ammunition, which seems to be shooting pretty well from my rifle, like I've said. So I just kind of wanted to give a little follow-up on that, 1 for the rifle and 2 for the box ammo, because you know, for box ammo without doing any hand loads or anything like that, any measuring, seems to be shooting pretty well. There's not a lot of videos on the 108 grain 6mm, or really there's not a lot of videos on the 6mm Creedmoor factory ammo at all. So just giving a little quick review of that, and kind of showing where we're at, starting with the rifle. Every shot I've taken with this rifle is on this paper, so that's it. I think there's 38 shots. I think I've shot 1 box and all but 2 out of another box, and 9 of those shots were not me. So anyway, hope you enjoy.